Okay, so I ordered my first package from JetPens. I wanted to get the Pentel Pocket Brush, and my husband gave me a little bit of mad money to spend, and I used a little bit of my money too. And I ended up getting the Pentel Pocket Brush and some cartridges and a few other pens, as well as some India ink and some pen cleaner. So I ordered on a Wednesday, was the 23rd, and today is Saturday the 26th, and it has arrived already. The original mail date, the original delivery date was supposed to be the 29th or 30th, and it ended up getting here a few days earlier, and I'm very pleased about that. Okay, and there she is. And what I actually ordered was, excuse me, they have two listings. One of them is for the Pentel Pocket Brush, and one is the Pentel Pocket Brush for calligraphy. If you scroll down on the one for calligraphy, it says it's the same pen as the artist version. It's just packaged differently. This one is packaged for sale in Japan, and the other one is packaged for sale in the US. And I got the reason why I got this package, first of all, it's cool, right? Second of all, I think it was $1 cheaper. And then I got some cartridges, and this was a little bit cheaper too. Like I said, if you scroll down on this, they've got a note down there that says the two pens are the exact same thing. This is the same permanence, the same ink, the same pen. It's just a different package. I also got Speedball Super Black India ink because I have some Koh-i-Noor Rapidograph pens, and I will just say I'm probably butchering everything that I say. My pronunciation skills are terrible, awful, completely awful. So I don't know if it's because I'm from Alabama. I consider myself kind of intelligent, I guess, maybe, but I cannot say anything right for the life of me. And you're probably hearing little munchkins in the background. Those are my kids in the background. And I also got Speedball Pen Cleaner, a 2-ounce container of it, because I've been cleaning my pens with Windex, and it's been pretty effective. Windex and soap, dish soap. But I wanted to try and see if the Speedball Pen Cleaner is any more effective. I should probably get the Koh-i-Noor pen cleaner kit because it's got a little tool you can flush the pen out with, but I end up soaking them and taking them apart and cleaning them, and it does a pretty good job. And then I also got these pens. They are the Pentel Touch sign pen, Fude Touch. I saw another lady who did a JetPens haul, and I saw these pens, and I'm not a calligrapher, but they just looked really cool. The ink looked super, and they looked really responsive, so I wanted to try those out too. I'll put a link down below so you can check out her review and check out her beautiful calligraphy. So I got the Pentel Touch pens in black, gray, pink, and sky blue. Forgive my man writing. I don't have handwriting, I have man writing. But I like to draw, so, you know. It has a really neat feel to it. There's the black. Gray. Pink. And sky blue. And they have a really cool feel to them. Okay, so you can see here the reason why it's got such a really cool and flexible tip and variance of stroke is because it's got a partial felt tip and it's also partial plastic tip too. I wanted to show you that in comparison to a distress marker. And I mean, they're really nothing alike, but the distress marker has a plastic tip on the fine tip, and it has the felt tip on the brush tip. So it's almost like a combination of the two. It's got some flexibility, but it's also rigid to a point as well. And you can get a really nice fine line and a much broader line on it. And so you know, of course, as I mentioned earlier, I don't have handwriting, I have man writing. I write quite like a man. No offense to you gentlemen out there. I'm sure some of you guys have very neat handwriting, but I have been told that I write like a man. So I don't have the neatest handwriting, but I have been practicing calligraphy a little bit, and I do like that I can get some pretty neat lettering with this pen. This is a mixed media piece that I did with some of my calligraphy included in it. So, and it's, and just get some really good variations of your stroke. With this pen, it's just really lovely. But one thing I wanted to show you, I'm going to try this on another piece of paper. Is that this is not waterproof ink. Give it a good spritz with some water. This does say that it's dry erase cleaner, but it was an empty bottle and I put water in it. So there you go. It's going to spread wildly, but that's quite pretty, I think. And then I've also, let me bring this back over here for you. I have some distress markers that I use, and I noticed this the other day when I was working on this project, is that if you see this, this is a very light pink right here, so if you go in and mix this together, it mixes in with it, and it makes for some really nice shades. Another thing is, I don't know if you do any drawings and then paint on top of them, but if you use this, it is going to show through, and I've tried many different layers. It's going to show through all your layers if you draw underneath. So, okay, so that's one layer right there. Go with a second layer on top of it. And usually 2 layers of this good gouache right here covers anything up that I have to cover. And as soon as it dries, it comes right back up. And I found this out because I actually have this book right here I'm working on some mixed media stuff in. And this was a book that I was taking jewelry notes in. And so I go through and I paint over all of it. And I had a couple of places in here where I was practicing lettering with these pens, these Pentel sign pens. And noticed that I could not get it to cover up with anything unless I put matte medium on top of it. So if you do a piece of art and you want to cover it up with these kind of pens, you have to put some matte medium down on top of it. Otherwise, it's just going to keep soaking in through your paint, layer after layer after layer. So I could have bought the Speedball ink locally, but I figured it was a pretty good price on it, and while I was ordering, might as well go ahead and get it since the shipping was free. And driving all the way to Hobby Lobby takes gas, so I don't go out there very often. I've never used Speedball before, and I like the ink. It's not completely solid black, but it's definitely not transparent either. I just test the cleaner out a little bit. It cleans my brush up really well. But does it clean my fingers? Yes. Haha. Good. Perfect. Alright. Okay, so this here is what I've been waiting for. I'll put a link down below to an illustrator I've been following. She does really good watercolor illustrations with black ink on top for her lines, and she uses a Pentel Pocket Brush. And I ended up finding her because I was looking at Pentel Pocket Brushes. I didn't know if I wanted the Kuretake or if I wanted the Pentel, but I saw the performance of the Pentel and I was pretty impressed by it, so I figured I'd try this, and maybe at some other point I'll try ordering a Kuretake as well, maybe the 13, or a maybe I'll try ordering a Kuretake as well. My children are screaming in the background. That's freaking great. Okay, so maybe at some point I'll order a Kuretake as well and do a side-by-side comparison. I'm sure you probably can find videos like that all over the place anyway, but I'd also like to try one with a natural brush and see what the difference is. Now, I decided on the Pentel because I read a lot of reviews on the Kuretake and the Pentel within my price range, and some people said that the Pentel is a little bit more springy and precise. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to open it up, and I've seen a couple of unboxings with this before where it kind of takes a little while for the ink to flow. So, and I've even seen one where it took a couple of days really for it to get a good wet brush, for the ink to seep down and get a good wet brush. Yeah, so I saw a video where this lady had opened her brush and she was a little bit disappointed because the instead of having a solid line when she moved quickly, it would kind of give almost a dry brush effect. I don't know if it was just the particular pen that she got, or if it's it took a while for the ink to seep down, or what happened. But either way, I'm just going to open it, see what it does. Maybe it'll go ahead and just start working for me. If not, you know, I'll try to add some more onto the end of the video. Okay, here we go. Okay, I can only unbox this one time, and if my kids are screaming, I'm sorry. They're crazy. Okay, this one comes with 2 refills. Okay, and there is the brush on it. Okay, so there's the tip, and it is pretty springy. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. And it's got an arrow to show you where the cartridge goes. And we'll just wait for the ink to flow. Starting to get a little bit of flow to my pen. And you can just barely see it right there. There we go. Starting to come on through. It's taken probably 2 minutes for this to happen. And I'm just going to turn it straight down. And just keep brushing with it a little bit. And just let it saturate. It's got a really cool feel to it already. And you can see it hasn't quite saturated the entire brush. I'm just going to flatten them out a little bit. I don't want to damage my brush. Okay, that's pretty wet now. Still has a bit of a dry brush look to it though. Of course, I am using, I'll probably end up doing illustrations on Bristol board. But I like to be able to use watercolor paper too. And the reason why I got this pen is because of the permanence of the ink. So I can use watercolor on top of it. Yeah, now it's got a really good wet look to it. A little bit of dryness still. Now this is cold pressed watercolor paper, but this is the smoother side. This is the rougher side. You can see it's got way more of a dry brush effect on that. So if you're looking for a dry brush effect, you could use cold press and move your brush quickly. Okay, so one thing I can tell about this pocket brush is that on my cold press watercolor paper, even on the smooth side, it has that dry brush effect, and I'm not crazy about that. If I slow down, I can get a pretty solid line. Especially if instead of using the side of the brush, I use if I press down with it a little bit. That's using the side of the brush. I'm going to press down with it a little bit and I get a much smoother line. Okay. Until on the smooth paper, I get a much smoother, more fluid line. And I like this too because I can get really small strokes, and I can even get very fine strokes. And it's a very fine tip. So if you can maneuver just that fine tip, you can get a very fine line. The ink is a nice solid black color. Okay, I wanted to show you something else real quick, and this is with the Pentel Pocket Brush pen. If you are interested in mixed media art and you're curious about how this pen will interact with your paints, it goes very smoothly over paints. This is kind of a mix of acrylic and acrylic gouache, so it's very smooth even over textured surfaces. And once it dries, okay, this is it before it's dried. So if you catch it before it's dry, it will run. But if you let it dry, of course, the drier it is, the more permanent it's going to be. And I was going to say too that I've had this Pentel brush pen for a couple of months now. It's actually been a couple of months since I did the first part of the unboxing video. And at first I didn't know how to take the pen. I was a little bit disappointed really in my abilities after I'd seen so many videos of people using the pen, and I got the pen and I just couldn't really make it work well until I started doing larger drawings. I did some larger drawings at our school. We were preparing the hallway, and I work at a daycare. We're preparing the hallway, getting some images up, and I ended up doing some drawings with this, and it's just to work on a large scale with drawings. If you use a smaller pen, you know, it just takes so much time. Or if you use a Sharpie, it's just gonna, Sharpies just don't, I don't know, I can't make them look very, I can't get a good line out of a Sharpie. So I ended up using this pen, and I found that I like it a lot for really large scale drawings, because I don't, my hands are very shaky and I don't have a lot of control over my line. So when I'm trying to do a smaller drawing, I just end up with these, I don't know, I just end up with too much line variation with this brush. That's what it ends up being. And I find that instead of brushing like this, a lot of times I end up pressing down on it and using it almost like a pen like that. I get a cleaner line if I push in on it, and that's really hard to do with when you're trying to get a detailed line. I've also found that I can burn through these cartridges pretty quickly. I am looking at some point into maybe buying a converter. I've read that you can get the platinum converter and use it, and I'm just not sure what ink to buy with it. I need to look through a few more reviews and see what people are using, but I think I'll probably end up using a converter and bottled ink, really, if I can find an ink that I like that is permanent, because I really do go through a lot of ink, and I really like this pen a lot, especially working on a larger project. So, Pentel, you make amazing pens. And JetPens. You make them readily available and ship them out quickly. Love it. Definitely ordering again from JetPens.